What is ADHD? A detailed overview. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is a complex neurobiological disorder that affects millions of people worldwide, from childhood through adulthood. It is characterized by persistent patterns of inattention and/or hyperactivity impulsivity that are more frequent and severe than typically seen in individuals of similar developmental levels. It is essential to understand that ADHD is not simply a matter of lack of will, laziness, or poor parenting. It is a real condition with well-established neurological underpinnings. The three main subtypes. Over the years, understanding of ADHD has evolved, and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, DSM-5, recognizes three main presentations or subtypes of ADHD. Predominantly inattentive presentation. Individuals with this presentation demonstrate significant difficulties in maintaining focus, organizing tasks, following instructions, and paying attention to details. They may appear spacey, lose things frequently, and have difficulty completing activities, especially those that require prolonged mental effort. Although physical hyperactivity may not be prominent, they may have a racing mind and difficulty organizing their thoughts. Predominantly hyperactive/impulsive presentation. In this presentation, the primary symptoms involve excessive motor restlessness, difficulty sitting still, excessive talking, and acting impulsively without thinking about the consequences. They may interrupt conversations, have difficulty waiting their turn, and exhibit constant restless behavior. Inattention may be present but is not the predominant symptom. Combined presentation. This is the most common presentation, in which the individual presents with significant symptoms of both inattention and hyperactivity impulsivity. Diagnostic criteria require a certain number of symptoms from each category for this presentation to be diagnosed. It is important to note that the presentation of ADHD can change throughout a person's life. A child may present with the combined form, while an adult may have predominantly inattentive symptoms. The neurobiological nature of ADHD and the role of neurotransmitters. Research strongly suggests that ADHD has a neurobiological basis, involving differences in brain structure and function. Neuroimaging studies, such as magnetic resonance imaging (MRI) and positron emission tomography (PET), suggest that certain areas of the brain, particularly those involved in attention control, impulsivity, and executive function, skills such as planning, organization, and working memory, may show differences in individuals with ADHD. In addition to structural differences, ADHD is also associated with imbalances in certain neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that transmit signals between nerve cells in the brain. The neurotransmitters dopamine and norepinephrine have been particularly implicated in ADHD. Inadequate levels or abnormal functioning of these neurotransmitters are thought to contribute to the difficulties with attention, impulse control, and motor regulation seen in the disorder. Dopamine plays a crucial role in motivation, reward, and focus, while norepinephrine is involved in attention, alertness, and mood. Dysfunction in these neurotransmitter systems may explain why individuals with ADHD struggle to sustain attention on non-stimulating tasks or to inhibit impulsive behaviors. The difference between having some symptoms and having an ADHD diagnosis. It is crucial to understand that we all may experience some of the symptoms associated with ADHD at some point in our lives. For example, on a busy day, we may have difficulty concentrating or we may act impulsively under pressure. However, for an ADHD diagnosis to be made, the symptoms must be persistent, present for a significant period of time, usually 6 months or more for children and adolescents, and with evidence in childhood for adults. More frequent and severe, occurring with a much greater intensity and frequency than is seen in people of the same age. Impactful, causes significant impairment in functioning in at least 2 different settings, e.g., at home, at school/work, in social relationships. Unexplained by another condition. Symptoms must not be better accounted for by another mental disorder or medical condition. A diagnosis of ADHD requires a comprehensive evaluation by a qualified professional who will take into account the individual's history, reports from multiple sources, when appropriate, and observation of symptoms over time and in different situations. This first section provides a basic overview of what ADHD is, its different subtypes, and the complex neurobiological basis behind the disorder. In the following sections, we will explore the symptoms in detail, the diagnostic process, and other important aspects of ADHD. ADHD manifests itself through two main groups of symptoms: inattention and hyperactivity impulsivity. The way these symptoms present and their intensity can vary significantly from person to person and over time. Inattention symptoms refer to difficulty maintaining focus, concentrating on tasks, following instructions, and organizing activities. Individuals with a predominance of inattention symptoms may exhibit the following behaviors: difficulty maintaining focus and concentration. They may have trouble concentrating on schoolwork, work, or leisure activities. Their mind may wander easily, making it difficult to sustain mental effort for a prolonged period. For example, they may begin a task but quickly become distracted by other thoughts or surrounding stimuli. Easily distracted by external stimuli, even slight noises, conversations in the surrounding area, or moving objects can distract a person with ADHD. This sensitivity to irrelevant stimuli makes it difficult to maintain focus on the main task. Trouble following instructions and completing tasks. They may have difficulty fully understanding instructions, especially if they are long or complex. As a result, they may start tasks but fail to complete them, either because they lose track of the story, become distracted, or feel overwhelmed. This is not due to a lack of understanding, but rather to difficulty maintaining the attention and organization needed to complete them. Difficulty organizing tasks and activities. Planning, sequencing steps, and keeping materials and belongings in order can be a significant challenge. Tasks that require organization, such as long-term schoolwork or work projects, can feel overwhelming and lead to procrastination. Frequently losing important items. Keys, wallets, school supplies, documents, and other items needed for daily activities may be frequently lost. This difficulty in keeping track of belongings contributes to overall disorganization. Forgetfulness in daily activities. They may forget appointments, errands, household chores, or to carry necessary objects. This forgetfulness is not intentional, but rather a consequence of difficulty retaining information and keeping track of responsibilities. Avoidance or reluctance to engage in tasks that require prolonged mental effort. Activities such as studying, reading long texts, filling out forms, or working on detailed projects may be perceived as aversive and exhausting, leading to avoidance or great discomfort when performing them. Symptoms of hyperactivity manifest as a pattern of excessive motor activity and difficulty remaining still, especially in situations where this is expected. In children, this may be more evident, while in adolescents and adults it may manifest as an internal feeling of restlessness. Excessive motor restlessness, fidgeting with hands or feet, squirming in the chair even when seated. They may have constant and involuntary movements of the hands and feet or fidgeting in the chair. Difficulty remaining seated in situations where it is expected. They may feel an irresistible urge to get up and walk around, even in classrooms, meetings, or other settings where they are expected to remain seated. Feeling restless. In adolescents and adults, hyperactivity may manifest itself more as an inner feeling of restlessness, nervousness, and an inability to relax. Excessive talking. They may talk a lot, even in inappropriate situations, and have difficulty allowing others to participate in the conversation. Impulsivity refers to difficulty controlling one's impulses, acting without thinking about the consequences. This can manifest itself in several ways. Difficulty waiting their turn. They may butt in on people in lines, games, or conversations, having difficulty waiting their turn. Interrupting or intruding on conversations or games. They may speak without being called upon, answer before a question is finished, or intrude on other people's activities. Giving hasty answers before questions have been completed. They may have difficulty listening to the entire question before giving an answer, which can lead to inaccurate or irrelevant answers. Difficulty thinking about consequences before acting. They may make hasty decisions without considering the potential outcomes, which can lead to problems in many areas of life, such as finances, relationships, and personal safety. E import anti-resultar que nem todas as pessoas com ADHD apresentam todos esses sintomas. E intensidade e combinação dos sintomas podem variar amplamente. A presença e o impacto desses sintomas em diferentes áreas de vida são cruciais para o diagnóstico de ADHD.